Before the first roads were carved into the land, before the first borders were drawn, before the rise of steel and concrete, the earth was whole. It breathed beneath endless skies, carrying the footprints of those who walked in harmony with it. The native peoples of the Americas lived not as rulers of the land, but as its caretakers. Every river, every tree, every stone held meaning, each one a piece of a sacred web that connected all living beings. Their wisdom was not written in books. It was spoken in stories, sung in ceremonies, and felt in the rhythm of the seasons. But with the arrival of foreign hands, much of this knowledge was silenced. The land was taken, the traditions were banned, and an entire way of life was nearly erased. Yet, if we listen closely, we can still hear their voices, in the wind, in the rivers, and in the wisdom that refuses to be forgotten. Today we journey through the ancient teachings of Native American civilizations, their traditions, their spirituality, and the lessons they left behind for us. Because even in the modern world, their wisdom is more important than ever. Long before the arrival of colonizers, the Americas were home to hundreds of thriving nations, each with its own language, traditions, and connection to the natural world. From the frozen tundras of the north to the dense forests of the Amazon, these cultures flourished, not through conquest, but through balance. In the Great Plains, the Lakota followed the path of the bison, honoring them as both a source of life and a sacred guide. In the deserts of the Southwest, the Pueblo people built stone cities that rose from the earth itself, structures that honored both function and spirit. In the forests of the East, the Haudenosaunee, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy, formed one of the world's first democratic systems, uniting great nations in peace. To them, the land was not something to be owned. It was a living entity, a relative, a teacher. They understood something that modern society has forgotten. We do not rule the earth, we belong to it. While European monarchies ruled through power and force, many native societies embraced a different form of leadership, one based on service, respect, and long-term vision. The Iroquois Confederacy operated on a system of consensus, where tribal leaders gathered to make decisions not just for the present, but for the next 7 generations. Among the Hopi, elders and spiritual leaders guided their people based on visions, prophecies, and deep observation of nature's cycles. The Lakota governed through councils, where every warrior, elder and mother had a voice. Decisions were never dictated by a single person. They were made together, as a unified people. In the Northwest, the Tlingit and Haida organized their societies into clans, where power was shared through traditions of generosity, wisdom, and communal responsibility. To these nations, leadership was not about control, it was about harmony. A leader was not a ruler, but a caretaker of the people and the land. Perhaps in today's world, we have much to learn from this philosophy. For Native Americans, spirituality was not a belief, it was a way of being. To them, the world was alive. The mountains, the rivers, the wind, all carried their own spirit, their own energy, their own wisdom. The Lakota spoke of Wakan Tanka, the great mystery, the unseen force that connects all things. The Hopi honored the Kachinas, spirits that guided the cycles of nature and the passage of time. The Tupi-Guarani sought Terra Sem Mal, the land without evil, a state of spiritual harmony where all life existed in balance. Through sacred ceremonies, vision quests, and rituals, they aligned themselves with the universe, seeking guidance from the spirits of the land and the ancestors who came before them. Every hunt began with a prayer. Every harvest was a gift from the earth. Every moment was a chance to honor the connection between the physical and the divine. But as the modern world grew disconnected from the earth, much of this wisdom was lost. And yet, it remains, waiting for us to remember. The heart of Native American wisdom can be summed up in one simple truth: everything is connected. The Lakota believed in Mitakuye Oyasin, all my relations. This was not just a phrase, it was a way of life. It meant that every tree, Every river, every animal, and every human being was part of a single web of existence. The Hopi knew that survival was not just about human effort, it was about partnership with nature. Their prayers for rain, their careful tending of the land, all reflected their understanding that life is a sacred collaboration. The Iroquois understood that time was not linear, but cyclical. They honored their ancestors and made decisions with their descendants in mind, because to them, the past, present, and future were inseparable. This wisdom is still alive today, whispering to us through the changing seasons, through the rhythm of the tides, through the balance of life itself. If only we would listen. But the balance was shattered when the invaders arrived. The land was taken. The traditions were outlawed. The languages were silenced. Entire nations were displaced. Their people forced into reservations. Their sacred sites turned into farmland. Their children stripped of their identity in government boarding schools. Yet, through it all, the spirit of the native people never died. Many continued their traditions in secret, keeping their languages alive in whispers, protecting their ceremonies in hidden places, refusing to let the fire of their ancestors be extinguished. Today, many native nations are reclaiming their lands, reviving their cultures, and fighting for the recognition and respect that was stolen from them. Their resilience is a testament to the unbreakable power of the human spirit. Now, more than ever, the wisdom of Native Americans is needed. As the modern world faces environmental destruction, social division, and spiritual emptiness, the teachings of indigenous peoples offer a path back to balance. They remind us that we are not separate from nature, we are part of it. They teach us that true leadership is not about power, it is about service. They show us that the choices we make today will shape the world for generations to come. In their wisdom lies the key to a better future. The only question is, will we listen? If this message resonates with you, like, comment, and share so more people can learn about the wisdom of indigenous peoples. Subscribe for more deep insights into spirituality, history, and the lost wisdom of ancient civilizations. And remember, wisdom is not something we inherit. It is something we choose to live by.